CardlinAudio. Have you ever wanted to own a Cardlin flannel? Well, now you can. Go check out my merch store, Crowdmade. Thanks. Enjoy the audio.
Are we nearly to our destination, young Lord Huxley? I'm concerned that the area has taken a turn for the worse. Well, I was under the impression we were only going on a short journey, but you seem determined to take my mistress all over God's green acres. This is hardly a place a lady of her standing should be seen anyway. The docks are for sailors, not a woman of esteem. You'll pardon me if I don't take your promises of safety to heart. Finally, we arrived before midnight, it seems. Please watch your footing as you step down, mistress. Of course, I'll be sure to notate all the important details for you to review later. Fine. You may lead the way, Lord Huxley. I assume you brought my mistress here to show your operations at this facility. I can see everything is already up and running. The startup funds he secured already paid for what he has. He must need a further investment for furthering production. Something still isn't right here. He keeps prattling on about how the product is marketed to a very specific clientele, but that can only bring in so much funds. Perhaps he hopes with more production he can expand. That's still a rather drastic change. I still don't think he's telling her everything. I can't let her go into this without all the information. Yes, I wondered that myself. It's almost as if there aren't enough people here. I will continue to keep a sharp eye out, my lady. Are you all right, mistress? Yes, I have been considering what you said earlier. Despite young Huxley's enthusiastic pitch, something seems off about this operation. There is machinery running, but only on about a quarter of the machines available. And I've only seen 5 or 6 workers in the entire warehouse. I think this is... Yes, everything is fine, young Lord Huxley. My mistress was simply expressing a few concerns about the output potential of the factory. I'm sure you would be happy to answer any questions. You wouldn't want to keep any important information from a potential investor. Is there somewhere quieter, away from all this noise, you two could have these conversations? I fear my mistress will yell herself hoarse trying to be heard. An office. Perfect. After you, mistress. Lord Huxley must have some refreshment he could offer? What a shame. To be rather unprepared for negotiations without proper refreshment for your potential investor? I can go see what may be procured in the small kitchens we passed, mistress, if that is your wish. Of course. I will return momentarily. Pardon me, I'm looking for the... What are you... Oh. Mistress! Mistress, are you all right? Huxley, if you've laid a hand on her, I'm going to... Mistress? Mistress! Oh, please wake up. Little miss, it's me. I'm here. Don't worry about him right now. He won't be waking up for hours. We had some words exchanged, but I don't want to trouble you with those when you're still in such a state. No. There's time for that later. Right now, we need to leave and get you home before he can... Fine, let's get you back to the carriage and I'll explain on the way. After I broke back into the office, the door must have knocked the chair you were in and you had hit your head on the desk. Luckily, there was no blood. Nicholas insisted that no doctor be called, and that he could wake you up since he still needed you to sign the contract. No matter how much I insisted we should be leaving, he was just becoming more and more determined that you were going to sign this contract today, no matter what. I tried to dissuade him, that when you were well we would revisit the business proposal, and I believe it was the word proposal that pushed him over the edge. He started raving about how he'd heard about you long before you met at that dance, and that how you carried yourself that evening made him so impressed he couldn't get you out of his head. He made sure the state of your holdings was brought to his father's attention and suggested that a business deal could be made. It was definitely a mistake on his part. He knew about his father's business dealings and that he couldn't resist trying to take everything. Nicholas assumed correctly that a marriage contract would be a part of it. What he didn't count on was his father trying to marry you himself. Apparently after that first negotiation you had with his father, he was pushed over the edge. That he'd said he couldn't wait to break you. That he would strip you of all your power and teach you what a woman should be. I almost have to commend the man for his reaction. I'd have wanted to kill the old man in that moment as well. But Nicholas seemed to have in his mind that you were already his. He thought he was giving everything back to you by offering his hand instead. That if you married him, he would be able to return all your holdings, everything. Since what belonged to his father would belong to him, after his plans were put in motion. Yes, mistress. It appears the younger Lord Huxley has made arrangements for his own father's demise this very day. Then, after taking your hand, you would be his lady, and all your family's business would be yours again. All he seemed to care about is getting you to sign that contract, practically trying to put the pen in your hand while you were still unconscious. I pushed him away, before he could try anything, and told him he's nothing but a lunatic, and I'd see him hanged, and that he would never see you again while I was living. That's when he seemed to make a connection. In his words, you're not just protective of her, you're in love with her. I apologize, mistress. That's when I lost control and struck him hard enough to knock him out. I then roused you so we could escape. Before we leave the city, we need to speak to the constables. Inform them of Nicholas's plan before he can go twist his tail to them himself. Then, I want to get you home, where you can have some strong tea and rest. Yes, I think we've all had enough of this particular business trip.